Today, myself, as well as you guys in chat and all the YouTube comments, have had a bit to sit with Boonboomger for a few days and figure out our final thoughts on the whole thing. So that's what I wanted to do today, just collect everyone's thoughts and give this whole year that we've had of the Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger just an entire grade. You know? A, B, C, D, F. I was like, A, B, C, D, E? No, F. It's been a while since I've been in school. I'm sorry. We're ranking all the Boonboomgers in a tier list like we do. And then we're also giving Boonboomger as a whole a report card. Because I think it's easier if we break down characters first. And then when we go over to the report card, I'll show you guys what we're going to do with it. Because we have a couple different categories in there. But here is the tier list. If you've ever watched a tier list on this channel before, you know it's S, A, B, C, and F. You get no Ds. If you get a D, you're just a bad character. You just go in F. That's basically what it is. So we have this tier list over on Tier List Maker. You guys can find it by just searching Boonboomger. It's Boonboomger characters. I just picked the one with the more characters. I think it's like 23 or 22. We got a list of all the characters, all the main characters we see in Boonboomger. We're gonna go down the line, and I want to know what you guys think too. So as I go through the characters, go ahead and drop in chat where you think people should be. Starting out, Taya Hando. Also, if once we get down here, you guys are gonna have to help me with names big time. Boonred is a rich man who gets a lot of characterization later on when we hear about like him being a child. And I think the story that we get about him being a child, listening to a child be abused next door, I think is like so crazy heart-wrenching for a Sentai to touch on. And the fact that they didn't touch on it a lot is like, yes, we all know it's a kid's show, but the fact that that was his driving force to start trying to reach people and reach out for people's screams, to like help people's screams, I think is a killer backstory for a Red Ranger. Other than that, Taya is kind of dry. He finds Boondario. He wants to help Boondario with his dream. He inspires everyone to like grab their own wheel and everything. That's all good and fun, but it's all kind of basic surface level Red Ranger stuff. It's all very surface level and there's nothing deeper than that until we get to, oh, he was, you know, listening to a kid get abused next door and like that's his thing. So I think Taya, very solid B tier. I think Reiwa's having this problem a lot, specifically with Red Rangers, only with Red Rangers. They go like, here's your Red Ranger, here's the leader of the team. Like him, they're like, let's give the rest of the team far more characterization and far more story than the Red Ranger, because you're gonna like him because he's the Red Ranger. Chasiro, our Blue Ranger. I think his name's Ishiro, actually. Ishiro Maeda. Chasiro, lovingly dubbed by the rest of the Boonboomgers. He is the double agent. He gets a lot of good character-focused episodes, I think. The one specifically with him at the aquarium, Mira comes and helps him, I think is really good. A really strong character-focused episode. God damn, if he doesn't have the worst ending out of the whole team. If he doesn't have the worst fucking just fall off in the last 5 episodes. And it's not just because he like pretended to be bad. Like that's in character and everything. It's just that once he pretended to be bad, he was just gone. He was just gone and he had nothing to do with the story until he comes back. And then the epilogue, they were like, Chasiro did this. Ishiro convinced me to like come back. And it's like, I wish I could have seen that. For that reason only, I have to put him below Taya. I would put him B tier, but like very bottom of B tier, but I don't think he deserves to be in the same row as Taya, honestly. I think he deserves to C tier. Not quite F tier though, because we all know where F tier goes for a lot of these characters, and we will get there, don't worry. Mira Shifto! The beginning revolves around her. She's kind of our window character into what the Boonboomgers are. She is sternly involved in everyone's character-focused episodes, because all of the character-focused episodes are introducing these characters or getting them closer to Mira, because that's what a window character is. So Mira, for me, everyone in the chat saying A tier or B tier, sorry. Some people say A or S. Mira for me is A, just because the entire show is kind of fed to us through her point of view. So I think she gets so much focus because of that. And because she gets all that focus, like I can't help but love her. I can't help but be like, hell yeah. And plus she's the only girl holding it down for the Boonboomgers. A tier. Almost a twice divorcee. I don't know if you guys realize this. Almost divorced twice. Joe Axel Boon Black. Boon Black. Let's talk about Boon Black for a second. I'm gonna agree with everyone. Joe is S tier. Joe is the best character. One of the best characters. Sorry, not the best character. One of the best characters in this show. He deserves S tier. He is in every way just what a hero should be, if that makes sense. When everyone was like, the Boonboomgers suck. Hey, we gotta arrest the Boonboomgers. He was like, no, it's still like, I'm still not gonna be that. I'm still gonna be the hero that I wanna be and not the hero that you tell me to be because I know where my truth lies. The episode where he took care of the monster and wasn't instantly like, he's a monster, we have to kill him. Amazing. Also leads into the Genba episodes where Genba is a monster and Joe's not automatically like, wait a second, he's a monster. He's like, wait, no, that's Genba. He's our friend. I thought that all wrapped together very well. Best boy, shout out to you. Genba! I have a feeling I know where a lot of you are gonna put Genba. I feel like a lot of you just are attracted to Genba. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like Genba pulled out the lollipop and a lot of you were like, fucking that one. Which is not an unfair take. You have yours, that's fine. Smash or pass, that is not this tier list. Genba for me, really fun character. He's got that mystery to him where you're like, how does he get everything? How does he get it? How does he procure everything? That's great. And then he gets his alien form and you're like, oh shit, that's cool too. He has that like cool little mystery. Other than that, Genba doesn't feel very substancy to me for some reason. So Genba goes in B, probably below Taya. He just doesn't feel super substancy. He has that short arc where he leaves the team because he feels like Boonboomger shouldn't be in it for revenge. The chat riots. I'm just saying, for me, this is my tier list. Trust me, I've been flamed for my tier list before. I understand. I have people on the YouTube channel every day commenting on the tier list saying, don't let this man cook ever again. Guess what? I'm still in the kitchen. Not bad. In fact, I would probably say above Taya, honestly. Saikato Boon Violet. I don't think a lot of you will disagree with this. I gotta put him in S tier because of a couple things. One, the way 6th Rangers work and the way they've worked for a very long time in Sentai is that you introduce your 6th Ranger, he's flat out cooler than everybody right off the bat because you want people to buy that toy. And they're like, oh, well, we already sold the Boom Boom Changers and the Boom Boom Axes. Now we want to sell the Boom Boom Controller. So we get a cool character right off the bat. But then we get a bunch of episodes of him bonding with each member of the team. Each member of the team gets like a one-off episode with that Boonboomger that brings us closer to them. And it's like, oh, now we get more from this person. All this characterization right out the way, right out the jump. We get to learn all this stuff about him. We get to learn that he's a cleaner in space. We get to learn that he left Earth, that he felt like this wasn't his home anymore. We get to watch him come back and not care about Earth for a while, just care about getting back at the Hashalians. And then, guess what? He starts to care about Earth more and more to the point where he is the only Boonboomger that stays on Earth to protect it. While everyone goes off to be NASCAR drivers. And he says, I'm gonna stay here and protect this place because this is now my home. He drives a lot of the subplots along, which I get when people are like, oh, Saikato's not there a lot. Yes, he does do the subplot in a lot of episodes. If you guys think that Saikato's not present in the story, I dare you to go watch Kira Major. I dare you to go watch Kira Major and tell me Takamichi does anything in that show. And then you can come back and say Saikato's absent from the story. Boon Dario is the mascot of this show. He's also the Robo of this show. Not the only Robo, but the main Robo that everything kind of attaches to. And for that, I think Boon Dario gets downgraded to a B. Because he is used a lot as like, this guy is super cute. Great. A for the Spinner stuff. Sorry, my fault. I totally forgot and pushed back all the Spinner stuff. The Spinner stuff gives him an A. Him being this driving force of the story a lot gives him an A tier. The reason I put him in B is because I don't think he's a great Robo there and stuff attaches to him, and it makes me not like any of the Boonboomger Robos. Champion 119, I think it's Leo. I don't like the look of any of the robos, and the fact that it's just him and Boondi, but it's mainly just him for the whole team. It's just like, great. And now I'm not going to like the robo all season. Being, Spinder's right-hand man, working with the Hash Aliens, I thought that was a cool twist. So for leading the plot along that much, and also he's just the fun mascot character. He's just a very fun mascot character, A tier. But yes, he's not S tier because I agree with Mega Ken here. The most stale mecha in years. Boondi, I'm going to be 100% honest, is a nothing character. He goes above Chasiro. He's just an absolute nothing character. He's a nothing character. He's in that same robo point as Bundario. He's fine. I'm not going to put him in F. There are people on this list that you look at and you go, that's an F character. He doesn't go in F. He's just there and he's fine and he's a friend to our S tier character, which is cool. We need C tier characters. I want you guys to understand this. We need C tier characters, and that's absolutely fine. So that's where Boondi goes. Shirabe! Let's talk about Shirabe. Shows up and is very antagonistic, and then gets let in a little, becomes a good part of the team. Loves them, loves Bundario. Her part when she's crying at the last episode made me cry. All that said, I know where you guys want me to put her, and I'm not gonna put her in S tier. Look at these two characters up here, and you can't tell me she deserves to be there. She just doesn't. She's top of B. She's top of B. I'm not saying that henching, changing, whatever you want to call it, I'm not saying that would have put her in A tier, because she definitely had a reason to, but she's fine in B. I wish she had a little bit more to do. I feel like her and Chasiro could have interacted a lot more in those last couple episodes. Could have done a lot more in those last couple episodes. She falls in that same thing, which I think a lot of people are confusing of like, this is the cutesy character. And then she gets stuff to do and then people go, the cutesy character is the GOAT. Let's go. But it's like, she's just not on the level of these four. I have not watched this movie, so I can't rank her. I'm gonna be honest. I know she brings a necklace. Yarukar! Yarukar, A. Bottom of A. Gets a lot more development than a lot of people in this show. We see him every episode. He's fun. He's like, does the gasoline thing every episode. Like, he's got a purpose and he fulfills it every single time. That's the best thing I could say about Yarukar. And then, like I said, we get, every time we get the Gooners episodes, their focus episodes, it's always like, man, that's really good. And then Yarukar got experimented on and you like felt bad for Yarukar. Like, why am I feeling bad for this evil person? Deco trade. C. Above Boondi, C. Yeah, Deco Trade and Natasha, let's do them together. Let's put them C, both above Boondi. They're fun. They're fun and they fulfill this point in the story where at the beginning, they're like the bad guys that we're going against. And then slowly but surely, it's like, oh, everyone above them is worse than them. So like, I genuinely start to care about these people more. You know what I mean? As we go through the generals, they just get more and more abused and you're like, wait a second. I think there's levels to this. These people aren't that bad. And then eventually, after being not that bad, they make the turn and they start being good guys. They start fighting for the good guys. They start taking risks and betraying the Hash Aliens. And I think that's cool. They really nailed that Team Rocket aesthetic the whole time. Probably like this, if I'm honest. Itasha over Deco Trade, because like I didn't even know this guy's name. Wild Spinder! He is the final boss. That's probably mostly what you can tell me about him. He is the final boss, and he is Michael Jackson. Most of you would be like, that's what I know about this person. That's all there really is to know about him. He is not my least favorite final boss of the Reiwa era by far. There are much worse final bosses in the Reiwa era. For everyone saying worst final boss ever, I don't think he's the worst. He is bad though. He's not great. Bottom of C tier, not quite F. The coolest thing about him is that he acts like Michael Jackson. And it's not even like a little bit. He acts a lot of bit like Michael Jackson, and that's the coolest part about him. God from Zenkaidra is the worst? Close. Big Wall from Zenkaidra is the worst. It was cool that he's like personally connected to someone on the team though. And he like kicked a lot of ass when he did show up. So let me just put him right here actually. Let me put him above Boondi. He's a smooth criminal and he kicked a lot of ass when he showed up. If he wasn't connected to Bundario, it would have been very bad. But I'm also blaming not getting the Big Bang Grand Prix on him, because they're like, he owns the Big Bang Grand Prix, so it's rigged anyways. And I'm like, we're not gonna get this fucking race. Are you kidding me? This whole time we're not gonna get this fucking race? Grant's Risk. You may ask me, how do you know this guy's name? Because I just watched the episode with him. But if he died early in the season, I would not know who the fuck this is. Grant's Risk gets an F tier. Because, as everyone in chat is saying, who? There's just nothing. He's just a dude. He's like a glorified monster of the week and not even in a good way. And then becomes a sword at the end. Mad Rex. Fucking A tier, guys. Mad Rex, A tier. This guy died literally half the show ago, and I still know his name. Is one of the sickest Sentai generals we've gotten in such a long time. This dude shows up, has the sickest fights with Taya, cements Taya right off the bat as like, man, this is a cool Red Ranger. And then dies, comes back, fights his way into being sentient again, sacrifices himself. The coolest general we've gotten in so long. Mad Rex could have been the final boss of this, and he would have been S tier for it. Cannonborg. I say this with my whole chest. Fuck Cannonborg. But fuck Cannonborg in a way that like he added to the story. So like, probably bottom of C. Bottom of C, because I do hate him, but he also added to the story. So I can't hate on him in an F tier way. At least he did something, you know what I mean? Disrace did a thing with Gemba and then blew up, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Below Cannonborg. Purely exists for Gemba's characterization. I think his name's Naito Raito, right? This is Taya's mentor. I said a lot about him in the reaction we did. I just feel like he didn't have enough time there. He could have done so much more. Naito Raita, like nightlight. Oh, he just didn't have enough time. Didn't really care about his turn. I guess he has to go above this guy, above Disrace. I think he had a really good story if he just needed more time. The ISA guy, this guy, fucking F tier. That's it. It's not even like I like to hate him. He showed up a couple times in a car and it was just like, what are you doing? And then we just arrested him at the end and it's like, fine, cool, you didn't do anything. This girl, also F, you did less. You just hung out and then at the end you just get forgiven. Mommy a B because she bad and she shot a real gun. She did shoot a real gun, you're fucking right. Can't argue with facts, big bro. I don't want to put her in C. I really want to put her in F. I feel like she was in it more than this guy at least. So I guess bottom of C, bottom of C. This is the list of characters in Boonboomger, which brings us to our Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger report card. If you didn't know, this is the Super Sentai franchise. It's number 49 or 48, depending on who you ask. The grader, that is me and you guys. Grading on the team, our main 6 Boonboomgers, I guess 8, Boonboomgers. A- for the team grade. I do agree with you guys that they are very likable. I don't think they're the strongest team I've seen. But they're not the worst. They really don't have many drawbacks. There's nobody that like I absolutely hate or annoyed me throughout the entire show. They made it very watchable. You know what I mean? I can see myself going back and watching some of these episodes and being like, gotta miss this team. Villains get a hard C. They get hard carried by Mad Rex and the Gooners, 100%. Because everyone after that sucked. There's just no world in which I look at the villains in any of the last third of the show and go, hell yeah, that was worth it. Music, Don't Stop the Boom Boom, which I feel is a really good song. Which I feel like is a worse song than the beginning song, but still not a bad song. What I think does really good in this show is the insert songs. I think the insert songs are really good. Specifically, the piano version of the opening song hits on every level. It's just crazy how much they're like, hey, we need someone to cry. Put the piano version of the song. Put the piano version of the opening song. So music gets a B. Costumes. Tire faces. Tire faces. A lot of people don't like the tire faces. I think a lot of us can agree that the champion jackets came in and fucking saved this show's costumes. The champion jackets came in and like Boon 119 was doing a hell of a lot of heavy lifting. And then the champion jackets came in and everyone just simultaneously went, you're right. Costumes get a B. Champion jackets do a whole ton of heavy lifting, but on the other side, I also think the villain costumes are really good. Not counting Monsters of the Week because I can't remember all of them, but even the generals I thought had really good looking costumes. Everyone points out the Michael Jackson costume. Mad Rex is sick. The Gooners are all really good. Monster suits and everything. The effects in this show, effects in Super Sentai can get a little wishy-washy, but I think firmly planting themselves in, look, this is about cars. So we're going to use the Rainbow Road. We're going to use tires a lot, and we're going to make the tires not practical, but the CG practical enough that it makes sense in where we use them. And on the back and on the feet, because that's where they have tires on their suits. I think they do it in a very simple way that makes sense. Mecha combination D-. That does, hey, you got a point. I should put mecha on here. I don't know why I did. Hold on, we're going back to costumes real quick. B-, because I gotta throw Bundario mecha in there. Effects, I'll go B+, because I think they picked what they wanted to do. They picked the theme and they fucking stuck to it. And I think they killed it whenever they stuck to it like that, and they did it for a lot of the episode. Morphs! The Boonboomger morph is super simple, and for that it gets a C+. It's super simple. The roll call is great. They use the Fast and the Furious things. It's just fine. Spins on their chest, spins on their face, and it's like, cool. Easy peasy. It's not bad. It's not terrible, but it's just fine. Side characters. This being the Shirabes and the, I guess I would even call Naito a side character. If we're going it that way, the difference is crazy, right? We've got side characters that are up here. We've got side characters that are way down here. I'm gonna kind of put the ISA girl in there too as a side character. I'm gonna go B. Because we're going, Shirabe brings it up to B. With how memorable Shirabe is and how much people were rooting for her to like be part of the team, I think she goes into B tier. Or I think she pushes the side character up to B tier. But on that front, there's not a lot of them. Story, I gotta tell you, very, very basic. And I think, we'll talk about this in the overall thoughts. Story for Boonboomger gets a D. I don't think I watched this show for the story. I don't think at any point of the show I'm like, that story's banging. That story is the best part of this whole show. Like, I was in it for the people, the team, and the camaraderie and the chemistry between them. I was in it for the suits, the power-ups, whatever. I was never in it for the story. And the story was never anything to write home about. Especially the ending, which I feel is very rushed. And by the time we got there, it wanted it to be this big thing. Just the players didn't have enough time on screen to make it this big thing. We spent too much time with the Gooners for the ISA to feel like it was any kind of thing. Overall, I won't go with like a average because I'm not that smart in math. So if you want to average it out, you can. But overall, I'm giving Boonboomgers a C+. That's probably let's give it a B-. It didn't do anything amazing. It didn't do anything super incredible, but it did everything well enough. You know what I mean? So final thoughts. I've been avoiding talking about the Boom Boom Grand Prix and all this because I think I wanted to be like, oh, I don't want to grade this against my expectations. Because my expectations were, we go to the Boom Boom Grand Prix, we do races, that's where some final arc or whatever takes place in the Boom Boom Grand Prix. I had this come to Jesus moment where I was like, those aren't my expectations. Those aren't just your expectations. Those are what the show set us for our expectations. The Boom Boom Grand Prix is the thing. And they talked about it so much, for it not to be the thing makes it feel very robbing and very unfulfilling. You know? Well, I thought we were going there because that's where you said we were going. I didn't think we were going there because I was wishing for it. I didn't think we were going there in a way that like, people were like, oh, Shirabe, White Ranger leak. That's because someone photoshopped that. And so everyone was like setting the expectations of Shirabe is going to be the White Ranger. There we go. And that's a different thing. That's putting your expectations somewhere that nothing pointed at that. Whereas the BBG, we pointed at that a lot. It's like the WrestleMania sign. The show kept going, look, there it is. That's the goal. And then didn't do anything with the goal until the last minute of the show. And then we were just like, we're here. And it's like, that's what everybody wanted. That's what you pointed at. And it's like showing a gun in the first act and not using it in the third act. That story trope. So I feel like, one, it's a very basic season, Boonboomger. But in a way, we needed a basic season because we've been so off the rails with Sentai the past couple years. And I think Gojuger will also be very off the rails, that if the biggest risk of Boonboomger took was the helmets being a little weird, then we're fine. You know what I mean? Because that is truly the biggest risk that Boonboomger took, was the helmets being a little weird. That's fine. Everything else was very basic, very to the point. It threw in the cameo episodes, which I feel like did a lot of good. And they figured out how to do cameo episodes and not make them glorified cameos. Till I figured out that, hey, these cameo episodes don't just have to be this like look fest. They don't have to just sell toys. They can also move forward the story. Every cameo episode moved the story forward in some way. And I think that was really cool. This is the report card for Boonboomger. That's where we're ranking it. Final thoughts, fine show.
1 to the kidney, 2 to the dome. That's left, right, go. Got a rollie for the brunch and a panic for the show. That's left, right, go.